Hello, 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 everybody. We are here live, and I have a guest here today that I didn't think I was going to have. So, yes, you'll be hearing some background noise from one of my grandchildren. And let's see, what else was I going to make sure I start off with? Oh, yes, if you're watching this in replay and you just want to get right to the topics, make sure you scoot that little status bar, whatever that thing's called down there, in about 10 minutes ish. And I should be on to the topic because I'll be starting off with the my favorite things to ferment. So we like to come in 10 minutes early to say hi and greet everybody. Well, I guess that is greeting everybody. Jace is saying hi. And maybe give a few announcements and whatnots. So just kill some time, give people time to get in here. Let's see, I did want to remind everyone today is, can you believe today is July 1st already? It's July 1st, right? Isn't that what it says? So today should be kicking off the Jarred Up July. I haven't looked to see if anyone's got a video out today. I'm sure they must. But anyway, the Jarred Up July collaboration that I am also a part of, my video will be coming out next Wednesday, July 8th, as part of the collaboration with the Inquisitive Farm Wife and City Girl Homestead. So, yeah, just a reminder. And let's see. Got a few people in here. Chick Girl. Does that say? I should probably put my glasses on. Okay, and Jenny, Cherry, and of course Deb and Jax. Or not Jax, excuse me, Jace. Both my grandsons' names start with J-A. Jax and Jace. Jackson is my oldest grandson. And this is Jace, and he's 4. Yeah, is that you on there? You see you right over there? And Grandma. Is that Grandma? Grandma? And there's people in here talking. They're saying hi and stuff. So, yeah. You want to go play? Grandma we can play on the pool table if you want. You want to just hang out with Grandma? Pool, yeah. Pool table. Not the same as the pool with the water in it. Because we got that little pool set up out on the deck. He's been having fun with that, huh? Today's kind of cold. It's been pretty cloudy the last several days, but warm enough. But man, the sun keeps trying to come out today, and it's definitely a lot colder. It kind of feels like fall already. Huh, buddy? That's why you're wearing some long sleeves too. It's chilly. Yeah. Is that a cute little boy? That's one cute little boy. Yeah. Why don't you go play? Look, Grandma set some crayons and a coloring book out for you. Go find something to do. Yeah, I was thinking that I wasn't going to have him today, so I'm a little confused, but okay, here we are. Whatever. Some people just have to realize that life is life, and when you're doing a live, it's life. Life's going to happen. There's going to be extra noise. There's going to be interruptions. And it annoys some people because apparently they don't have a life. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what people expect of me. I'm not a robot who lives alone and has all of her lines in a manuscript to read. Excuse me. Yeah, you people in the South, I'm sure. Well, I heard that, see, one lady that every now and then she emails me from the Netherlands, and she says it's just terribly hot there. And I know some other areas around, just places like ours that wouldn't normally get that kind of heat or getting that kind of heat. So we haven't had that yet. It could happen. We've had some We've had some terribly hot days that were really out of the norm in the past. There was that one year that we had a 3-day stretch of really hot for here weather that it was cooking our apples and berries right on the plants. Apples were getting cooked on the tree and berries getting cooked on the bushes. It was crazy. So that year, I don't think I got any of my little gooseberries. Every single one of those got cooked. I probably could have had a few if the doggone sawfly larva hadn't eaten all the leaves off. And a lot of my currants got cooked, but my currant leaves got left alone, so there had enough leaves on there to shade the rest of the berries to not get completely cooked. And it's not a good kind of cooked either. It's not like they just turned to jam. So kind of crazy. How are we doing here on time? Still have 4 minutes before we get into our 3 different topics I have for today. All of them pretty well unrelated too. Sometimes my topics kind of go from one to another and they're related, but I would say these are all pretty much unrelated. Another one on financial decisions. It's kind of been my main focus lately, just things I'm kind of paying attention to. I know I shared that with you guys before, but yeah, the climate thing, I think a lot of times people forget that we all live in very different climates. And so even when I first started my channel and I'd be talking about things I was putting up, I had people that lived in climates that were a lot warmer and got their summer a lot earlier than we do. And they're all bragging and kind of acting like there's something wrong with me because I'm not putting up all my tomatoes and zucchini and whatever, yet, or whatever it was. And it's like, well, things are different here. We live in a different climate than you. It doesn't make you better just because you're already canning up and putting up things that we have yet to do. We're not there yet. I mean, my zucchini is only just starting to get flowers. So it's going to be a bit before, and they're kind of struggling because of this back and forth cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot weather. This happens from time to time and it causes things to be stunted. You think it's going to be great and things start growing. Then all of a sudden it gets really cold and everything just stops. That's what happens here. That is the norm. So, yeah. So remember, before you get all haughty, no pun intended, about how you're so much better because you're putting up all this stuff now, I guarantee you we'll be putting up stuff when you're done because your gardens are going to be fried by the time we get to the point where we have stuff coming in. So all different climates. And if we were in Australia, we'd be in the middle of winter. Okay. So they're not putting up anything right now. Well, I shouldn't say not anything. Maybe some people do winter crops in greenhouses and whatnot. So I keep before we got our chickens, I was going to start doing more stuff in the greenhouse in the winter, things that didn't mind a cooler climate, cooler, not freezing, like lettuce and stuff like that. But with the chickens, that was the one area where they could go hang out on our very, very, very wet winter day, that they could stay dry but still get a lot of heat, or not heat. It wasn't hot in there. It would be a little warmer, but they'd stay dry but get a lot of light in comparison to hanging out in the coop all day. I mean, they have windows in their coop. It's just, it's still a lot darker in there. Okay. Well, it's just about time to start. So, yeah, I don't even know what the temps are here. Well, let me see. I got a phone right here. It probably tells me. Let's see. Los Angeles. Well, it's 68 degrees in Los Angeles, which seems pretty cold for there. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I don't even think it's 68 here right now. Why does it say Los Angeles? Oh, this is my newer phone. It's not even. Let's see. 57 degrees. and cloudy. Well, half and half. Okay, it's time to start. So let's get going. Hello, everyone. Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today, my first topic of the day, I'm going to be talking about my favorite things to ferment. Now, I've done a video on this several years back. It was 5 years ago. I was looking, I'm like, okay, that was 5 years ago. That's a big enough time span. And there's at least been one change since I did that, if not a couple. And why not cover this again? So before I get into the items, I am not a person who likes to ferment everything. Some people like to do that. Totally fine. But that's not me. That's not I there are some things I really love fermented. Patrick doesn't really like anything fermented except for maybe an occasional glass of my homemade wine. That's about it. There are a few things that he eats that have been fermented that he might not even realize, but I don't think he would care. As long as it doesn't taste like certain fermented foods, he'd be fine with it. I think he likes sauerkraut, but I don't make sauerkraut. I don't know why I've never made sauerkraut. Well, no, I know why. It's because every time I think of making sauerkraut, I'm like, I'm just going to make kimchi. It's basically a Korean sauerkraut because it's typically made with cabbage, but kimchi can be made with all kinds of different vegetables. So I would say, I'm not going to say what's at the top of my list, but that is one of the things it was one of the very first things. In fact, I think it was the very first thing I started fermenting because I'd never had kimchi. I really wanted to try it. And I decided I was going to learn how to do it and just make it myself and then try it, and immediately fell in love with it, as did my oldest son, who was only like 6 or 7 at the time. He loves kimchi. And it's the main difference is that sauerkraut is basically just fermented cabbage, where with kimchi, you've got your cabbage. A lot of times, the more traditional way, they might use Napa cabbage, also known as Chinese cabbage, bok choy, a mix of the two. When I first started doing it, I liked using both. I loved the really crunchy ends of the bok choy in there. And I like to add carrots to that usually. And then ginger, green onions, garlic, and fish sauce is also commonly used, and I always forget to add it. It does add a nice flavor. It's actually from anchovies, so it is clean. And so I'm going to get back to that in a minute, and you'll hear more about this in my Monday video. This next Monday video. So anyway, yeah, to me, it's just sauerkraut that's a step up. And Patrick won't even taste it because he doesn't like the smell of it. But maybe one of these days I should just make regular old sauerkraut, but it's still going to have the same smell. Or he doesn't like the smell of it. That's what I mean. He doesn't like the smell of it, so it just grosses him out because he thinks it smells like garbage, and he won't even try it. I'm like, maybe the difference is like he's had sauerkraut that's just been made with just white vinegar. And I think that's what he's used to. It doesn't have that same kind of smell. He hasn't had just the, real sauerkraut that's been fermented. But well, yeah, I did set up Kinley. I set up a lot of stuff. In fact, this one on this side, that's my newest one right there. I just got that in a couple days ago. I've been debating ordering a lava lamp for a long time, but finding a color that really suited me I was having a hard time because some of them looked really cool, but I wanted it to kind of also match. So this is kind of variegated. It's got like greenish blue on top, and it goes down into a purple at the bottom. So the wax inside is white. And then on this side, the glitter lamp, that was actually one of my kids's that I dug out of his old bedroom. I'm like, oh, This is still in here. I'm going to set this up in my dance room or in my recording room. whatever you call this big room now. It's no longer a dance room. Sometimes I still call it a dance room because that's what it was for many years. So anyway, kimchi is of course one of the many things I like to ferment, but one of my other favorite ways to make kimchi is with cucumbers, especially fresh cucumbers from the garden. Cucumber kimchi is, maybe you don't like cabbage kimchi, but you might really like cucumber kimchi. You're still going to have some of those same flavors, the ginger, the garlic, the onion, etc., the spices, because you got to put some hot spices in there. That's the whole idea. It's got to be hot. In fact, when I finally tasted my Korean neighbor's kimchi back here for the first time, it was way more mild than mine. I was surprised. I expected it to be pretty spicy. It was a little spicy, but not that much. So, anyway, cucumber kimchi. I've also made floral kimchis. I'll do this from time to time. One of the best flowers to make kimchi with is let's say you don't have any cabbage, or cabbage doesn't grow as well for you as maybe nasturtiums. Nasturtiums are great because they already have that kind of radishy flavor. Oh, because radish kimchi is also another kimchi that I tried of my neighbor. She made cucumber. I've tried her cucumber kimchi or radish kimchi, and then just her standard kimchi. Oh, they were all good, even if not super spicy. They don't have to be spicy to be good, though. I mean, we just like it a little spicy, or at least I do. So yeah, you can just take all the same basic ingredients and then use whatever you got in your garden that you think would taste good in kimchi. And that's kind of the fun of it too, is you can be a little bit creative and throw different types of vegetables in there. Now, I'm going to say right after that, one of the things, because that's what I'm doing right now, that I've got so many eggs coming in. And one of the ladies that usually buys eggs from me hasn't bought eggs. She usually buys eggs every week, sometimes twice a week. And she hasn't bought any eggs like the last 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. I told her to contact me when she needs them, instead of me constantly pestering her saying, hey, I have eggs. And I don't know, maybe they're on vacation or something, but and they have a family of 5. So I can imagine they go through several. But I'm like, okay, well, I've got all these eggs and I might as well go ahead and dehydrate up a bunch and then start hard boiling them so I can ferment them, because it's one of my favorite ways to eat eggs and to get that selenium and that protein source is fermented hard boiled eggs. I love them. Started doing it several years ago. I never watched anybody's video. I don't even know if anybody else has videos on fermenting hard-boiled eggs. I'm sure there's people doing pickled eggs like with vinegar, but I actually ferment them the same way I ferment anything else, using my fermentation starter. Instead of, like with the kimchi, I don't use a salt brine. I add salt to it. I don't use a salt brine. There's a big difference. Okay, sorry. The way that current out there is shaking, I guess it's the wind. We had a deer out here chomping on our plum tree the other day, which was okay because it needs to be pruned up anyway. Bless you. But I use the fermentation starter, which means that I make myself, which I have videos on. The video with the newest one is the most thorough. I did maybe 2 years ago, and it's the one that's got the kind of turquoise blue thumbnail background and the different color lids on the different ferments. But even though I'd been making kimchi the traditional salt brine way for years, one day, by the time I'd learned about making a ginger bug and using that to make mead. And then I thought, I wonder how this would work for getting vegetables fermented, like make kimchi. So I started doing it that way and I loved it. It speeds up the process because it gets it going faster and then of course, you could still let it sit for a couple of weeks if you wanted it to become really tart, but that way you don't have to worry about adding so much salt, because using the salt, too much salt can prevent it from fermenting, and then it'll turn to slime. It'll just rot and it's gross. I had that happen to me before because I never measured out the salt. I just eyeballed it. And so I think sometimes I got too much salt in there. But you got to have enough salt to help prevent it. It helps keep it from spoiling. Okay. So, but with the fermentation starter, because the fermentation process starts right away, you just don't need that much salt and it's not going to spoil. I've never had one spoil on me doing it this way. And so I then, with that, I started using that fermentation starter to do all kinds of things, to ferment many different things. So the eggs then became one of them. So now here's the next thing I did. Some of you may have yeah, the poor deer was just plumb hungry. Anyway, so I was like, man, I'm kind of in the mood. I should make some kimchi. I also really want to ferment some eggs. And then I'm like, ooh, maybe I should make some kimchi eggs. So basically, do my fermented eggs instead of doing excuse me, instead of doing the rosemary, garlic, and hot pepper eggs, how about do like kimchi eggs? So I use the ginger, the garlic, green onions from the garden. Um, what am I forgetting? Of course, I still add salt. I actually, to this one, instead of using cayenne pepper, I use my own hot pepper powder from my Chinese 5-color pepper. Oh my goodness. And those are a little spicier, so you gotta then cayenne pepper, so you gotta go, be careful with it. And then I still throw some red pepper flakes in there because I like the look of the red pepper flakes in anything like that. And then, they turned out I also added the anchovy, the fish sauce to it, and boy, those turned out really good. Really good. I am so pleased with those. And so I'm definitely doing those again. The flavor of them turned out exactly how I had kind of had envisioned in my head. So, yeah, just think of the taste of a fermented hard-boiled egg with the taste of kimchi, and that's what it tastes like. Yeah, and if you've never tried fermenting hard-boiled eggs, some people might think so it's not the same as pickled eggs where they use vinegar because they're not. In fact, I don't know if I've ever had a pickled egg, but those are going to be sour. These aren't sour. They taste like a hard boiled egg with just a little bit of kick to it. They kind of got a little bit of fizziness to them because they're fermented, and then whatever spices you throw into the water, the liquid that you're fermenting the eggs in the eggs are going to take on some of that flavor. And most of it obviously is going to go into the white part of the egg. And some people talk about poking holes in the eggs so that the fermentation gets into, and the spices, all that get into the yolk. But that's not really the best idea because what will happen then is as they ferment, the yolk will start to liquefy and start oozing out the holes. And just depending on how long you let it sit. And then I noticed somebody had mentioned beet kvass. I've done that before. That's something I like on occasion, but I wouldn't say it was my favorite thing to do. But if you make a beet kvass, you can also ferment your eggs in the beet kvass. That's also very good and also makes a very beautiful egg because it turns the yolk purple it turns the white purple, and sometimes that purple even seeps into the yolk a little bit, so you'll kind of have this variegated color. They're really pretty and they taste great. So, yeah. No, I didn't add the hard-boiled eggs to kimchi. I'm calling them kimchi eggs because of the flavor. I thought about throwing some cabbage in there too. It was mostly just using all the same spices that I would use to make kimchi, but using it with eggs instead of the vegetables. Maybe I had the green onions in there, obviously, because that's part of where you get some of that flavor. So then, one of my other favorite things to do now, I did it years ago and then forgot about it, and then did it again, started doing it again, and decided to do more last year after I did a small batch. I'm like, I forgot how much I liked these. And that was fermenting snow peas. Now, fermenting snow peas you can do it with the garlic, onion, and red pepper if you want, or you could just do it with a little salt or any kind of spices you want to add to it. Fermented snow peas are really good. They tend to stay crisper longer as fermented than they do in the freezer for a little while, at least for up to the first year. And then if you let them sit for a little longer, well, I won't say year, at least 6 to 8 months in there, they can stay pretty crisp, especially if you throw in a horseradish leaf. A horseradish leaf is great. I do the same thing with the cucumber kimchi. And I find horseradish leaves work better than grape leaves at keeping things crisp, and they add this nice flavor to it. And it's not overpowering because it's a leaf. You still get that horseradish flavor, but it's more mild. But anyway, I just really, really liked them like that as a snack, but also as using through the year, adding to different stir fries and whatnot. However, I forgot about them. That there was just a little bit left in a jar, and I kept forgetting they were in the fridge. And when I went to use them, by that point, we're looking at maybe, well, close to a year, because the snow peas I should be getting snow peas any day. And this was just the other day, so it's been almost a year, and they were starting to get mushy by this point. So in that case, freezing them will last longer. But as soon as you freeze them, they lose a lot of their crispness. But freezing them raw, do not blanch them, will help them hold that crispness better. If you blanch them, they'll turn to mush. Even if, no matter how carefully you time it and put them immediately in ice water and then freeze them, no, they're gross. I did that one year with a whole bunch of them thinking I was doing a good thing, and they were gross. We just really didn't like them. So, but the fermenting them is both good for using throughout the year, as long as you use them within that first year and add that horseradish leaf or at least grape leaf to the jar. But what I'm going to do from now on is make sure I work through the fermented ones immediately. I mean, you work through those first and then have ones in the freezer, which I still have a bunch in the freezer from last year, and then use those in my stir fries like I normally was doing. But anyway, so then of course so kimchi was the first thing I ever fermented. The second thing I ever got into fermenting was making homemade mead. And if you don't know what mead is, it's wine made with honey and water and then some kind of starter. Some people will use a wine yeast. I've always just used whatever fermentation starter I have, which in the beginning was the ginger bug, until I decided to start getting experimental and trying, because getting a good organic ginger around here was super expensive if you could get it at all. And I thought, why don't I try it? Can I get a starter going from something other than ginger? So I just started experimenting with all kinds of different things. And it didn't matter what I used. It didn't matter if it was fruit peels, whole pieces of fruit, herbs from the garden like dandelion, red clover, etc. I could always get a fermentation starter going. So I always have 3. The 3 I have right now, and I keep them in the fridge. Once they're good and bubbly, I keep them in the fridge and I cycle through them so they're always alive. And I have the ginger dandelion one, and then I have a rhubarb one, and I have the honeysuckle one. And throughout the year, if it feels like it just needs a boost of some kind, I might strain out the old stuff out of it and then add fresh material of whatever I have. If it's honeysuckle, then I may have to add something else because obviously in the middle of the winter, the honeysuckle flowers aren't coming in. If it's the dandelion, well, that's when I add the pieces of ginger, and I'll use my dried chunks of ginger. I get the ginger root, organic ginger root from Azure Standard, and then I chop it up, leave the peel on, chop it up, and dehydrate it. And then I use that mostly in teas, but I'll throw some of those into the starter just to kind of get a fresh something in there. And then you got to, every time you use it, you feed it some more sugar, top it off with water, let it sit for a day, stick it in your, and it's, by then it should be nice and fizzy again, stick it in your fridge until you're ready to use it. And then as a lot of you know, then the other thing I'm going to use that for, I use that, excuse me, I'm getting so excited, I'm stuttering again. The number one thing now I use my fermentation starter for, though, is making the bread. Because that's all for what should be going on close to a year now that I finally perfected that. So all of my yeast breads get made with my fermentation starter. So basically I'm fermenting my bread just in a little bit different way than the normal sourdough that most people are going to get into when they're trying to get away from having to depend on store-bought yeast. Well, mine is my fermentation starter, and I'll use a different one each time. So the last batch I made, I think, I think that one was honeysuckle. And like the next one, I think will be rhubarb, and then it will be the ginger dandelion. Yeah, because I use the ginger dandelion for the eggs. So it'll probably be the rhubarb, because then I just cycle it. So that way they're always fresh. And I don't have to worry about them turning into wine. Because once they turn to wine, you let them go too long without keeping them fed and keeping them busy. I don't think they're going to work so well for fermenting because now it's all done. But it's alcohol. I mean, you can use it for whatever you want by that point. It's not going to be strong like a regular homemade wine. But anyway, honey wine or mead is a really great place to get started, especially if you have bees and you have a lot of honey. And I've never had bees, but I was buying honey in bulk. Back then it was mostly, I was getting it from Glory Bee. And now I get my honey from Azure Standard. We don't even have a Glory Bee co-op here anymore. That's long gone, but at least we have the Azure Standard. And their prices are similar. They're very similar type places, and they're both located in Oregon. The main place, but Azure Standard has outgrown Glory Bee by far. And Glory Bee used to be the big thing. But anyway, it takes 3 cups of honey to make a gallon of wine. So 3 cups of honey, and then if you're using like a starter like I do, you're going to add a cup of that, and then the rest you top it off with your water. So you're going to have about 3 quarts of water, and then you'll have your gallon. And what I always did though was made 1 to 2 cups of the water would be some kind of fruit. And sometimes I would just blend it up and put it in there. Sometimes it was going ahead and filling the jug all the way up and then putting in chunks of stuff like when I'd made the cinnamon or the orange spice mead, I would throw in a few cloves, a couple of cinnamon sticks, and then some orange pieces, slices. Just put the whole slices in there. And that usually turned out super good. And yeah, that was I think I've mentioned this recently. The orange spice mead was pretty popular. It was one of the first ones I made that really turned out good. My first one was a strawberry one. Didn't turn out good because I was using a balloon instead of an airlock. And what happened was you have to be careful with the fruit ones like that. The pulp can go up. If you're using a pulp, it can go up into your airlock or your balloon if you're using a balloon. And it can cause the thing to go shooting off or whatever because it gets clogged and you got those gases building up. But in this, what happened was the pulp went up into the balloon, and then it just tainted the flavor of the whole jug. It was really sad. So it tasted like latex, strawberry latex. Yum. but I got airlocks right after that. And now I don't use balloons anymore. They can work. You just don't want to use them with something that's going to get very pulpy. And you got to make sure you put a tight rubber band around there because they'll shoot right off of there when those gases build up. They can anyway. So yeah, and with that, I made all kinds of different flavors. I know Deb was talking about, I don't know if she's mentioned it in the chat, but she said her first was mango. Yeah, I haven't tried that. But she was saying that that she made one. What did she make? Wasn't it peach something? Peach vanilla, which sounded really good. I don't think I've ever made a peach mead. I've made a mango wine just using mango juice from Costco. It was really thick, but it was really good. It turned out super good. I did have to strain out a lot of pulp though when it was done. Because when you get that mango juice, it's more of they don't call it juice. What do they call it? Anyway, it's the kind that's really pulpy. Nectar. When it's real pulpy, they call it a nectar, I think. Is that right? So she said, okay, last year I made a peach mead with vanilla beans. And it was awesome. One time I made a vanilla mead, just vanilla. So I made the mead, got it all mixed up and then threw a bunch of vanilla beans in there. And it turned out pretty good. Not as good as I hoped, but it turned out good enough. And then of course I graduated. I say graduated. I mean, it's just as yeah, you can say, because there's more work involved in making a wine if you're pressing your own fruit. Now I know some people do steam juicing. I don't have one of those. I don't care to have one of those. I hand press my grapes. I don't know. I've made wine using juice that's been like that I'd canned from my grapes, and it wasn't near as good as the wine I made from the fresh juice. Well, I froze the grapes, but then I hand press them out because it's easier that way. So it's not super fresh, but it's not the same as cooked. And it just, to me, they have a better flavor. But yeah, so there's a little more work involved, or same thing with the rhubarb. I'll do that with rhubarb as well if I'm making a rhubarb wine. And then you freeze it, cut it up, you freeze it. And then when you go pull them out of the freezer and they thaw, juices are already starting to come out like anything fruit that you freeze. And so it's just pour that off of there. And then you press out the juice from the rest of the product. So there's that. Was there one more? I feel like I'm forgetting something as far as my favorite things. So kimchi, eggs, snow peas, and then juice in the form of also not just wine, but soda. We don't really drink wine. I mean, we'll have a glass once in a rare occasion, but it's more used for other things. But if I just want a fizzy drink, then I'll ferment some kind of juice, whatever, whether it be from something I've juiced myself or juice that I've purchased, just ferment it for a few days with a little starter in there, because usually that juice has been cooked in some way, especially if you've bought it and it's not raw. So you're going to have to add a starter to get it going. And I've done that with lemonade even, and my own apple juice from my own trees. And then you got your own sparkling cider. It's pretty good. It's pretty tasty. And then one of the last ones I made was the honeysuckle soda, just throwing the honeysuckle flowers into some water with a little sugar so it can ferment good, right? And then my starter, and then made a little soda out of it. It was pretty yummy. Oh, I have a lot of rhubarb. Might do that. Yeah. One thing, I don't know if it's just my rhubarb, but I do have that video on the rhubarb margarita wine, which really surprised me because I've never noticed a taste of sodium in rhubarb ever. Never noticed that until I juiced it, froze it, and then juiced it. And I'm like, this kind of has a salty flavor, but not too salty. And that's where I got the idea for a rhubarb margarita wine, because of the fact that it already kind of had a bit of a salty flavor to it. So when it was done, I mean, if you go watch the video, you'll see this, but I added, just to get more of that same flavor, that margarita flavor, I added some lime juice to it, plus I think a cup of honey to get some sweetness back into it again. And it turned out really good. It's another real popular one that when I make that and then serve it, or, have it out for gatherings, like my sister loves it. It's like her favorite one that I make. So, let's see. Now, as far as some other things that I have fermented in the past that I will still do now and then, but they're not my favorite things to do anymore, and that is fermenting garlic or chopped onions. Now, the nice thing about it is a good way that you can keep them raw and then have them be preserved. I still store all my ferments in the fridge. Ferments really should be stored in some kind of cool place. It can be a cold basement, a root cellar, but we don't have those. So I will do that with some things, like if I have a lot, but I find with garlic, I like to freeze it. So even though I grow garlic, I always end up buying the raw peeled garlic from Azure Standard and just throw it in the freezer. And it is so easy to use because you just pull out the pieces and it starts thawing out within seconds. And I mean, you could pull it straight out of the freezer and start cutting it. But if you wait like a minute, it's really easy to cut. Just chop it up. And the reason I prefer that over fermenting is that one thing about fermenting onions and garlic is it takes that bite out of them. Now, some people might prefer that if onions and garlic are typically too strong for you. But with us liking garlic, I don't like the fact that it takes a lot of that strong garlic flavor, onion flavor out. So it's not my favorite way. If I didn't have a way to freeze, then yes, I do that if I need to put up a lot of garlic and I wanted it ready to use. And that is the nice thing about it, is you can just pull it out of the jar, chop it up, and add it to whatever. And it works great. You just might want to add extra if you want to get plenty of garlic flavor, and same with the onion. And a few other things I've done. I've done pickles, fermented cucumbers as pickles, not as a kimchi, where I, sliced them and then just fermented them and just put maybe a little bit of flavors, like maybe a little garlic onion, but not try to make them taste like kimchi. And that's good too. But now it's like, if I'm going to ferment cucumbers, I'm going to make cucumber kimchi. Just like if I'm thinking of making sauerkraut, well, I'm just going to make kimchi. I like those strong flavors. So, and then another one I tried was green tomato pickles. Now, it was okay. I did a bunch of them too, and it took me a long time to work with them, to work through them, sorry. But you can make green tomato pickles, and mine was in the form of fermenting them rather than, using the vinegar and letting them sit in that, but that'd be one way to do it. But you can try that. I don't know. They were just okay. I didn't hate them, but I didn't love them. So I find other things I'd rather do with green tomatoes than that. But I have tried that. And there's a few other things I fermented over the years. And one I forgot to write down is, this would go along with the fermented juice to make kind of a soda, is making a fermented smoothie. So instead of using juice, you just blend up your fruit, make a smoothie out of it, and then add your starter and ferment it for a few days. And now you've got a fizzy smoothie. And I've done this with, like, what's the one I did? I got some guavas one time. I was like, I've never seen guavas in the store. So I bought some guavas and I thought, oh, I'm gonna turn some of this into a smoothie and ferment it. And that was pretty good. So just a few ideas there. So anyway, those are my favorite things. And I'm sorry for the live, I didn't gather any links. A lot of times in the morning is when I get the live show set up, and I've got a bunch of other things going on bright and early in the morning, and I don't always think to go in there and add links, but I'll make sure I do that with the standalone video. But, so some things to look into is, the rhubarb margarita wine, my mead making video. Those are both in my wine making playlist. So you'd also find just the process of making wine. And then, what did I say? There's several different kimchi videos. I got just a standard brine-free kimchi. I've got kimchi made with dehydrated goods, all dehydrated goods, except for, of course, the water. The water wasn't dehydrated. The fermented eggs. What else? The bread, how to make a bread with a fermentation starter. And then, of course, the fermentation starter making video. And I am keeping Deb on her toes. And she's doing a good job. Thank you, Deb. We really appreciate you. Getting them links together. It's a lot of work. I used to do that for Deep South Homestead and American Homestead. We're actually, they were live the other day and I missed it, but Patrick and I are actually moderators for their channel too. But Zach stopped doing lives a long time ago, but him and Michelle just did a live the other day and I totally missed it. So I could have been in there moderating. But anyway, let's see. There was a couple other people we're moderators for. I do my best to try to gather links to you. So I get it. You're over there. You're trying to listen. You're over there looking. Because unfortunately, only moderators can post links. So that's one of the reasons. That's one of the purposes of a moderator. And the other purpose is if you guys get out of hand, they're going to take, what used to be a wrench and now it's a shield and bonk you on the head with it. Not literally, but figuratively, because they can put you on timeout or ban you from the chat. So behave, Tyler. Wait a minute. Tyler's the moderator too. Is he going to ban himself? Okay, let's go on to topic numero dos. Okay, where are we? Oh, so this one might be interesting. My throat's a little sore today. Last couple of weeks, it's been a little more sore. What else going on in there? So I had this idea for this topic. It's probably one I've talked about before, but maybe not in the same way. And I've talked about a lot of this before, but I'm putting it together in a different form. And in fact, I thought about this even before my video on the milks came out yesterday. And then somebody came in there and got all high and mighty about, how we shouldn't be drinking cow milk because, we're not made to drink cow milk. And yet people in the Bible drank the milk of kine. They used it to make cheese and butter. And if you don't know what kine is, Kine, that's cows, cattle, bovine. Okay. So I get a little burned out on the constant. It does not matter what kind of food you're talking about, what kind of anything you're talking about. There's always going to be somebody who thinks they know everything and they want to come in and act like they're smarter and better than you and tell you what you should and shouldn't do. But the sad thing, it's sad enough that people got to be all high and mighty and, that way, you know what I mean? Or the lady that was like on my old lavender leaf video, back then I was growing I had Spanish lavender, didn't like the taste of leaves. And so I ended up ripping the Spanish lavender out because I decided, no, I don't like the taste of this one. I won't use it. And she's like, you do know that Spanish lavender and French lavender aren't edible, right? When people add that little right to the end, they know what they're doing. It's that little bit of dig right there because they're so much smarter than you. Well, unfortunately for this person, they were way off base. It is absolutely edible, all three of them. You know why people don't eat Spanish lavender much? Because it doesn't taste good. It has a very different flavor than the leaves of French or English lavender. They all going to have their own, it's just like apples. Apples can all have their different flavors to them. They're still an apple, but some taste better than others. Maybe that's not even the best example. There's other types of fruits that can have very distinct flavors. Doesn't mean that one is not edible and the other one is, just because you like the flavor of one better. So, so not that it would matter, because people that usually get that kind of attitude won't bother to check out your links. But I went and found a link because I knew all three of them were edible, because I've eaten all three of them and I have not died. But I found a link that was specifically talked about all three and their culinary uses and the way all three of them are most commonly used in culinary dishes. Even the Spanish lavender, though it's not used as often because it doesn't taste very good. Now, some people might like the flavor of it. I didn't care for it, but at any rate, my point is that a lot of people, I mean, okay, let's go back in time to at least the 70s. Okay, well, in the 70s, I think it was don't eat salt and don't eat egg yolks. I mean, egg yolks, seriously, egg yolks are the best part of the egg. That's where all the flavor is. And guess what? They're scaring people to death about eating egg yolks because, oh, your cholesterol. No, you need that cholesterol that's in that egg. Guess what else is in that egg yolk? Selenium, vitamin D3, I believe vitamin K. It's high in all these necessary nutrients our body needs. But let's scare you away from that. Just eat the whites where what's in the white? There's no flavor. There's no nutrients. Hello? So we listen to them. And then I think it was more in the 80s where they were talking about, oh, you shouldn't eat the dark meat on your chicken and the turkey. That's the worst part for you. And I remember how sad I was because I know I was still pretty young. I might have been in my teens, but I remember thinking, really? That's the best part. That was always my favorite part of the chicken or the turkey was the dark meat. Why? That's because where all the flavor is. And guess what? Usually where all the flavor is where all the nutrients are that your body needs. So here's a few more I wrote down. Well, just meat in general. Don't ever eat meat. Meat will kill you. You're all supposed to be vegans, don't you know that? Don't drink dairy, especially from cows, and don't eat meat. Because we're all supposed to be vegans because somebody out there decided that was the best way we should all eat. All of us, no matter who you are. And then butter. The demonizing of butter. That actually goes back further than, I think that was the 50s. 50s or 60s. Somebody in here probably know better. Don't eat butter. As such, as a child who was born in the mid-60s, I grew up on margarine. I liked it because it was what I was used to, but when I got my first taste of real butter, I was over the moon. I'm like, why don't we have this stuff? See, even as a child, I knew when I tasted that butter for the first time, there's something about this that's special. It's real and it's good. And as soon as I was able and I got out on my own, away went the margarine and it was butter. It was a bit of a sticker shock at first, switching from margarine to butter. But oh my goodness, it was worth it. So yeah, and so then we find out, what did we find out? That the Crisco and the margarine, that stuff is all fake and it's all really bad for you. Just like the Cool Whip versus real whipped cream. They tried to convince us this was good for us. But the real whipped cream is bad for you because it has so much calories and fat in it. Wrong. I mean, yeah, it has fat and calories in it, but wrong that it's worse for you. The Cool Whip, all the fake stuff, that's the stuff that's been bad for us. So you guys all already know this. I'm preaching to the choir. But well, let me finish my list. So what do we have being demonized today? Because, we can't go a decade without something, or even 5-year span without some kind of new food group, well, old food group, but being newly demonized. So today it's the grains and the vegetables and the fruits, anything plant-based. So you either are supposed to be a vegan or not a vegan, or never eat fruits and vegetables. Jace, I told you to leave that alone. Don't touch that. Sorry. Don't you sass me. Maybe you need to go find something else to do. Somebody's got a tude. He's giving me some tude, some attitude. Okay, why don't you get up there and eat your granola bar, buddy? Or color. I think he knows you guys are there and he's embarrassed now. Okay. So what was I saying? The difference with the whole. Okay. Okay. Good. His dad's going to be here any minute to pick him up. Good. So I get really just so agitated because it doesn't matter what you do. There's always somebody that's trying to preach at you why this and that is bad for you, because it's what they have come to believe. Stop. And I wouldn't mind him making noise so much if he wasn't doing it just to be a poop. So the point of this, of what I'm trying to say, is let's stop allowing they, quote unquote, whoever they are, we know who they are, make our decisions for us, for how we live, for what we eat, for even how we raise our kids. Because they want to demonize homeschooling. Let's demonize. What else do they like to demonize? Didn't I write down some other things? Oh, here's one. This is one that's just really been getting me, even though so far it's not affecting us living in a small remote town, but being a small remote town means it very well could. And that's the data centers and all the AI and them they again, trying to convince you it's good for you and for your community. It's going to create more jobs. And what are they doing? And why is it suddenly all the climate activists seem to be, not all of them, strangely silent, at least as far as the climate activists, as far as the public voices that want to tell you, don't eat red meat, you're destroying the climate. Don't drive your gas-powered or diesel-powered vehicle, you're destroying the climate. You bad person. Hey, let's put in a data center that causes noise pollution, air pollution, uses up way more water than you can in your whole lifetime, pretty much. So, yeah, and they're polluting the water too. Thank you. That too. I've seen that. People in these small towns, they're turning on their water and they're just getting a big, I just put all this stuff right there. So, but anyway, when they can get water out, it's nasty. It's disgusting. It's brown or yellow or orange. So, hi, Luna. You hear Luna comes through here, bombing through here. And she does kind of look like a bat. Oh, a bat out of Hades. You all excited to go with Daddy? You want to say bye to Grandma? Oh. You give me a hug? Oh. Mwah. Okay, buddy. Bye. Did he just wipe my kiss off? Yeah. Rude. That's rude. So anyway, let's try to get. Yeah, she definitely had some happy feet. She always comes in. She's so happy. What do you got? What do you got? What's going on? Oh, anyway. So really that's what it boils down to. That if we keep listening to they and what they are trying to tell us is good for us or good for our community or good for the climate, chances are they are only in it for the money and they don't care one iota about you or your family or your life. They don't care if you get any water, if you die from eating fake food. They don't care. They care about this. They care about lining their pockets. They care about their profit margin. That is what it all boils down to. And maybe it all sounds like conspiracy theory nonsense, but come on. Have we not seen over and over and over again throughout the generations? Everything was always about money. The Crisco, getting people to eat Crisco instead of butter, it was all about money, about making use of, okay, can't make soap and candles or whatever anymore because nobody needs this stuff anymore. They don't need candles anymore now that we got all these electric lights. What can we do with all this stuff? Oh, let's make a healthy fat and convince people it's better for them than butter, and they can start using that for making their pies and biscuits. Yeah. So everything has a purpose that has nothing to do with your health and your future and caring for your family and getting good clean water and good clean air and not going crazy or ending up in severe depression because you can't get away from the horrible sound of the data centers that never shut up and driving you out of your family homes that you grew up in, and you making nothing off of it. So, as you can see, I'm a little bit angry over all of it. And it doesn't help that when you're a somewhat public, I say it that way because I've been on YouTube for 10 years, putting myself out there for anyone to come in and say whatever they want. Not that I allow it, but and it wasn't long. I knew it would happen before people were coming in and criticizing me and telling me I was wrong for this and that. Now, will I admit that there have been things I have been wrong about? Yes. Yes. And when I find out I'm wrong, I correct that and I make it public, just as the mistake of whatever I said that I thought I was correct on. I was being honest, but I was honestly wrong. And so there's nothing wrong with saying, well, hey, I learned this. This is what I learned. And that makes me go, maybe I should look into that. And in the past week, I've done that 2 or 3 times because of things that people brought up. And it seemed like there was one that was like, yeah, yes and no. And then there was one about the lavender. I looked it up again because I was pretty sure I was right, but I'm like, I don't want to assume I'm right and get all cocky about it like everybody else likes to do. I'm going to double check and I don't just look at one page. The reason I gave her that one link because it covered all 3 lavenders. I look at several. I compare different sites. And okay, because if I'm wrong, I want to correct this. I don't want people eating something that's toxic if I'm telling them to eat lavender leaves and all kinds of lavender. I don't even know what all species of lavender I have around here because I have so many different ones and some have died and I don't even know. But I use all of them and I've eaten from all of them and never had once a single bad side effect. And that's just the leaves. I don't like eating the flowers. So I've made tea from the flowers. As long as it's mixed with something else, I don't mind. But it's too perfumey. I'm not the kind of person that likes to grab a bottle of lavender perfume and go, look, look, look. I don't know. Maybe some people do that. I don't know. obviously. I'm kidding, people. Don't take me seriously. But anyway, so well, and then the sad part is these people that are being told this stuff and just buy into it because one person told them this. When somebody corrects them on it, they don't want to be corrected. I mean, I tried to be polite to this lady. I just said, "Well, that's not correct. You can actually use all 3," and I have. I tried to be polite about it because obviously if you're rude, that's gonna make them not even definitely not try to better themselves and learn something that new or different than what they'd originally been told. We've all been told a lie, and we've all bought into a lie at some point in our lives. No one is immune to that. It happens to us all. But where we better ourselves is we say, let's go back to the whole, let's question everything. Who's behind this? Follow the money. And then let's compare all the information from experience, especially our ancestors. When people want to tell you, you should never dehydrate meat and put it up, that's going to kill you. The only way you can ever do it is to freeze dry or can it. Not that those are bad things. You can do that. But do you really think people were freeze drying meat 2,000 years ago? So sometimes you got to go way back and say, weren't people doing this? Weren't people actually feeding their babies a certain milk? Not just from both animals, both the bovines and the goats. I have to be careful about what I say because this can get me in trouble on YouTube. Yes, they were. And the reason it was okay coming from certain bovine back then was because they all produced back then the right kind of milk. That our cattle has, except for the ones that have been preserved, they have been changed to put out a different the A1 milk. And though a lot of people like me can tolerate it, not everyone can. And that includes itty bitty ones, right? I'm trying to be careful because I got people that, because of my dairy video that came out yesterday, that think I don't know this about like goat milk, for example. But if they had been following me long enough, they would know that I most definitely know that, and even have my own testimony about that with the little grandbaby that was here. They wouldn't know that now if they only followed me on YouTube, because that video got removed from YouTube because it is bad to talk about anything other than human or store-bought formula when it comes to infants. If you suggest anything else, that is bad, and you can get banned. You can get a strike on your channel, at least a warning. You'll get your videos removed. So now those are over on Rumble. And so a lot of people wouldn't know that. They just assume because I didn't talk about that in that video that came out yesterday that I don't already know that. I think I might have mentioned the A2 milk. I didn't listen to it again yesterday, so I don't know what I said. I think I might have mentioned A2 being a good one for people who can't tolerate milk, even itty bitty ones. Not thinking about that at the time because that could probably get me in trouble too. But I just, if I remember correctly, I kind of said it in passing, but a lot of people just assumed, there were several people that assumed that I didn't know about the other type of dairy animals and their milk and how it's best. And yeah, I agree. It's best, especially if you're comparing it to the milk from the bovine we get now. So, yes, I know this. Now, it's okay if people just think I don't know and they're sharing this. I get it. But it was the person that got all high and mighty about it that I finally just said, okay, goodbye. You're done. Delete. The first comment was, it was kind of toeing the line a little bit, just kind of throwing their toe over the line just a little bit, but I could tolerate it. But and then I just explained just very briefly something. And then when they kind of went on the rant about it, I'm like, that's it. No. And kind of got rude about it. I don't need this silliness. What do we got here? Is a bushcraft style able to be used as a... Okay, you guys are talking about something different? I was just checking if it was in... I mean, which is fine. This is fine, I don't mind. I just like to check and see if there was anything that might have been... I can add to this. Let's see. It's talking about smokers. Cool. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about the smoker thing. I wish just so much going on anymore. It's like all the projects we'd love to do, we just don't have time for anymore. It's kind of sad. You don't need the tood, Heidi. I don't. You're right. Thank you. It really depends on a person's approach. If a person is just genuinely asking a question or sharing what they know, I'm fine with that. Or, sharing what they might think they're right, and they might be. It's when they come in and act like they're smarter than you. I don't have the time or patience for that nonsense. There are plenty enough people smarter than me. I know that. But if you think you're smarter than everybody else, then you're probably a lot dumber than a lot of people, because you just think you've arrived and now you're not growing. That could be said about a lot of things. So anyway, let me just sum all this up again. And I think that's what I'm going to title this, is let's stop letting they make our decisions for us. If you hear something that sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And if they're trying to demonize what you eat, what you wear, how you live, how you raise your children, how you live your life, I won't say what just went through my head. Just, if you feel there's something you need to learn more about, take the time to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good idea to learn more. You should always be learning more about everything. Learning new skills, learning better ways to do things, learn what's the healthiest thing for you, especially us women, as our bodies change every 6 months. I swear something's different. We got to change something again in what we eat or whatever. But that's good. Keep learning, keep changing as you need to for your own personal health and the sake of your family. But don't let that be dictated to you by people who have money to make off of you, if you listen to them and do what they say. Or the people that like to parrot all the false information that they heard. Well, so-and-so said this, so it must be that way. Who's so-and-so? I don't know. I don't know who that is. I don't care. Oh, that person that likes to fly around in private jets from one state to another, and they're wanting to tell me I need an electric car? Not going to happen. Okay. Grr. Okay. Another very different topic. So I guess in a way this could go hand in hand with the last one, because in a way there's a lot of the keeping up with the Joneses. So whenever we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, as was once stated, or keep up with the influencers today, then basically you're letting other people dictate to you how you should live and put out there in the public. Let me spray my throat again. The peppermint infused precious metal infused water is very, very helpful. So this is about saving money on family vacations. And what I'm really hoping to get from people in this, and share your comments on this, is what do you do, or what have you done, especially if you're older like me, your kids are all grown, and what did you do to save money on family vacations but still be able to have a good time with your family? Not just a good time, but a time of refreshing, of getting to know each other better, good wholesome stuff that everybody could benefit from in some way. So, with all that said, now that I put that out there, because and the reason I asked that is because I can only go off of my own experiences and what we did. Because we didn't spend a lot of money on vacations, but every year we took our kids and we went somewhere. And I'll get into that. What we did not do was ever once go out of the country or to Disneyland. Now, I am not here to put people down for going to Disneyland or Disney World or taking international trips. If you can afford to do it, and that's what you and your family, if they're old enough to actually understand and remember the experience, if you can, and that's what you really want to do, sure, I absolutely don't have a problem with that. Now, people are already saying it. So here's one thing that, listening to a lot of these different financially based podcasts, especially from people my kids' age. The one guy, his name's Zach Rios, Rios. I'm not sure if that's how he pronounces his last name, but I'm pretty sure he's about the age of one of my boys. And anyway, I really like hearing these young people that age talking about being smart with money. And that's not really what his whole channel's about. He mostly does a lot of reviewing like video clips and stuff from that Caleb Hammer. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's okay. He just kind of gets annoying to listen to. He drops a lot of F-bombs, and when he gets really upset, his voice gets really whiny. It's kind of hard to listen to. So I prefer listening to the edited versions. But he doesn't, he's a no holds barred kind of guy. When you listen, he's doing fine, trying to help people financially to look at the way they're spending their money. And so a lot of these clips will have people talking about their trips to Disneyland. In fact, there was one video that was just all about different people's trips to Disneyland and how much money they were spending. And we're talking a minimum of $10,000 to $15,000 on one trip. This might be 2 or 3 days. 10 to 15,000. And that was the minimum. Some people, quite a few people, were spending $35,000 to $40,000. Now, I think some of you might have been here. I think it was last week I was kind of talking a little bit about this, and Tyler brought up, it was either last week or the week before. And he said that when he took his kids to Disneyland, it cost him $50 for a day. $50 got them in the gate. It paid for their food and all the rides. It's not like that anymore. $35,000 to $40,000 for a couple of days, and you're taking little kids and they might not even remember. So as one of the things that Zach does when he's this young man, not Zach from American Homestead, this other Zach, one of the things he does when he's putting these videos together is he'll read some of the comments under those videos where he's kind of going over, and several people were talking about how, yeah, I went to Disneyland when I was 7 and I don't remember anything about it, or 4 or 2. They're, especially those younger ages, they're not going to remember. So you spent that kind of money because you want your kids to have these great memories, but they don't remember. But I tell you what, I think they're going to be, they're going to remember a lot more. Maybe not specific details, but they're going to remember in the sense of, let's see, I need a word. Well, let me just put it this way. When you take your kids, okay, let me back up. Let me share what we did. Every year down in Oregon, our family, it was mostly my siblings, my dad, they would organize a family reunion in the summer. And we did invest in a camp trailer. which was, let me tell you, was a really nice investment. And guess what? It didn't cost near the amount for that one trailer that we used a lot as it's costing people for a single weekend at Disneyland or Disney World. So there's that. But anyway, we'd get in the trailer. We'd usually take about 2 weeks off. And part of that was just driving down to Oregon, stopping and seeing some other family on the way, stopping and seeing, going to a museum here, seeing this special little site there. Some of these things were free, some of them were very, very inexpensive. Like we went to Mount St. Helens, had not been there since I was 14. The spring or the summer before the mountain blew the very following spring. So I was there in 1979. And that was the last time I'd been there. And so we thought, hey, this is kind of right along the way. Let's go to Mount St. Helens. And it was very cool. I was going to bring this bowl in. I did make what I saw at the time, a very expensive purchase, because I saw this beautiful green kind of fluted bowl, glass bowl that had been made from the ash. I spent $25 on it. I kept feeling so guilty about it, but guess what? I still have it. I'm still glad I have it. When you see what people are spending on stupid little trinkets at Disneyland, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. But that was a rare. I usually never bought anything like that. But I really wanted that bowl, and I'm still glad I have it. It is so beautiful. It was handcrafted. And I wish I would have brought it in here like I remember. I'll try to get for the standalone video, I'll try to get a picture or two or a little video clip that I'll insert here so people can see what it looks like. But that was a very rare thing. The other thing we did where I did spend a little bit of money was when we were in Tillamook. That we went to the Tillamook cheese factory. We got ice cream, but there's also a great air museum. And they had these really nice coats that looked like pilots' coats. It had patches all over them. And the boys were going to need coats anyway. So I bought them coats there. So there's their memorabilia. And they were nice coats. I mean, I think we might have spent $50 a piece, which seemed like a lot of money at the time. But to me, it was worth it because it was the memories and it was a coat that they needed. Because it was summertime. They were outgrowing their coats from last winter. It was perfect. It was a way I could have something that was useful as well as have something to remember that trip by. But that was kind of rare that we did that. And we'd camp out. A lot of times, guess what? We weren't even camping in actual campgrounds most of the time. We were either camping, except for the family reunion. And a lot of times, if it's just we got to make a stop for the night, guess where we camped? Walmart parking lots. Except for you can't do that on 101 along the Oregon coast. They made it so the last time we tried that, there was none. If it's along the coast, no overnight camping at the Walmart parking lots. But we did that, and we saved a lot of money because guess what? Even back then, when the fuel prices weren't what they are now, it still cost us a lot of money to pull that trailer all the way down to Southern Oregon and then come back. And then, the rest of that time too, besides the family reunion, we got to spend a lot of quality time with the cousins, the brothers, the sisters, nieces, nephews, parents. It was always a great time. These were real memories. These were real memories we created ourselves with the people we loved. Not going off so we could take pictures of, oh, I got these stupid mouse ears that cost me $50 because they got glitter on them or whatever. And you know the drill. Real memories. And as a kid, my best memories I don't remember if we went on family vacations every year, but some of my favorite memories was camping with my family and playing in the sand and on the beach or at the lake or wherever it was we were camping, sitting around the campfires and that smell, that campfire smell. You guys know what I'm talking about. You smell that smell. If you've ever went camping, it's such a comforting, wonderful smell. I need a campfire scented candle. It's so calming. Whenever I smell that, sometimes my wood stove will smell like that, and immediately, you know how the olfactory glands are. They're the best for really stirring up old memories. And I can remember being 6 years old, 5 years old, camping with my brothers, building sand castles, poking sticks in the fire, going out and gathering sticks just so we could whittle them into swords and fighting each other with them. Fun fighting, but, I'm surprised we never really got hurt doing that. These are real wholesome, healthy memories that your family, your kids will cling to, even if they don't remember all the details. There's gonna be something that's gonna stay with them, that wholesome time. Not running, not waiting in lines for 2, 3 hours just to get on one ride because that's all then you had time to do that day because the wait time was so long. Oh, awful. I can't even fathom how awful that would be. I would absolutely despise that because that's what it is now. I mean, even if you get what they have now, these lightning lanes that you gotta spend even more money to be able to get in the lightning lane or something stupid like that. So, okay, let me pause. Let me look at my notes. There's a reason why I write notes. Okay, here's one of the common excuses. I'm hearing people, these young people that are taking their kids to Disneyland, the common excuse. Well, I just want my kids to be able to experience more than I did because they might have grown up in a home like I did. I never even asked to go to Disneyland because I knew that was, even back then, was out of our price range. That would be an unaffordable thing. I'd hear my friends talk about it, and I remember for a while as a really young kid, I really wanted to go, and then the older I got, the less interested I was in it because we made great memories without all that nonsense and all that expense. And as when I just can't see doing a Disney vacation or any other. I keep talking about Disney. It could be any of those. And spending that kind of money, and how I know I would be stressed to the hilt. I know I would be if I went to one of those and took my kids. And so the whole trip would have just been, for me, would have been a horrible experience. And what are my kids going to remember? They're going to remember mom being really stressed out. Doesn't sound like a great family time to me, personally speaking. Now, I will say that, we had the wild waves here in Washington State, which is, it started out as just a little simple amusement park, not much there, back when it was Enchanted Village, not Enchanted Forest, but similar. And then they put the wild waves in when I was in my teens, and that was a lot of fun because, it was a water park. And then I think it became a Six Flags and they added some rides. It wasn't a massive theme park like Disneyland or Cedar Point Park, which I've actually been to. Any Ohioans there? I've been there once. But and I was like, "Man, I have never been there since they added all this other stuff. Let's take the kids." And we decided to go in with my sister and her family and some of our friends so we could buy a whole pack of tickets and save a lot of money. And even then, I think it was only like $11 a ticket for the day. And I hated it. Now, when I was a teenager, I went as a teenager. Oh, I had a blast. As a parent, with all those people, and it's not near as busy as these other places. I hated it because everybody kept getting scattered. I'm worried about everybody. Justin was only like 3 or 4. He was too young for and too small for a lot of things, or even too scared. And there was another little guy. My nephew was with us. I was mostly watching them, and everybody else was going in 50 different directions. And I was freaking out the whole time because I don't know where everybody is. I felt it was my job to be the shepherd or something. Where is everybody? Where? Okay, where are they? Okay, okay. What? Oh. It was horrible. I said, I'm never doing that again. And we had so much more fun just spending time with family camping or driving around and visiting family. And you didn't even really have to put them out because you either had your own tent. Because one time, before we got that, and before we even had kids, Patrick and I had a tent and we were heading down to visit family, just to visit family, not to do anything fancy. We went all the way down to Northern California to visit some of his family there. And on the way, we stopped, kind of surprised my dad, visited him in Oregon, but we had our tent. And it's like, you don't have to house us. We'll just set up a tent in the yard. No big deal. And you can do the same thing with the trailer. You don't have to I don't like surprising people usually. I don't like doing that, but you don't have to put people out when you have your own home with you. So that's one of the nice things. So, I mean, if you're going to invest in something, invest in a good tent and sleeping bags, or go the step up if if you need to, and go with we started off with a used camp trailer. We got a really good price on it. Patrick fixed it up. It was really cute. I especially loved what he did with that tiny little shower. He fixed that thing up really nice. We did end up trading it in and getting something bigger eventually, but just because the kids are growing and we needed more space. But I still miss that little trailer because of the work he put into it to make it really nice in there. And again, fun memories of those times. Even the stuff that was kind of frustrating, like having to pack all the bicycles, because at the time we had a van. We didn't have a truck with a bed that you could put a lot of stuff like that in. So the bicycles and all that kind of stuff had to get packed into the trailer whenever we went anywhere. We didn't have a bike rack. But you know what? That was just part of it. It was just part of it. And still, you're working together and you're making good memories. And I just think it's far more worth it than feeling like you have to spoil your kids because you didn't get that when you were a child. Trust me, it's not your kids are not going to be better off than you if you go into debt, because that's what these people are doing. And that's the main point of this. They can't afford these things. So they're going into debt. They're literally taking out loans, second mortgages, or what is it, line of credit against their house, or getting numerous credit cards and charging them up just to make sure that their kids have good memories. How good are those memories going to be when you can't afford to put food on your table or pay your light bill or your heat bill? How good are those memories going to be? And so to me, it's really disturbing to see how people are willing to do this. And you know what a lot of it is too? It's all about making those TikTok videos and those Instagram videos for the clout or for the money. That's not going to be much. And so I know a lot of people are putting some comments in there. I can't see them all without my glasses on, but thank you. Just go ahead and keep doing that. I was thinking there was one more thing. Oh, talking about I was going to talk a little bit about the food. So that's something else we did, is we hardly ever ate out. I'm not saying we never did, but we certainly didn't go to fancy restaurants. But most of the time what we did was the whole week ahead, I would be making foods that we could take. I'd be making some homemade breads, spaghetti, chicken salad, sandwich spread, chili, things that we could easily put in a cooler before we had a camp trailer, we're tent camping, or we could put in the fridge in the trailer and work on that. And then if we ran out of food or we got bored with what we had, we could stop at a grocery store along the way and buy the ingredients to make something in the trailer or over the fire. It wasn't all just hot dogs. Thank goodness. Hamburger patties, making the hamburger patties. You can keep them in the freezer. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can make your food ahead of time and take it with you. And so if you got hungry, like we'd pull into a Walmart, like middle of the day, we're hungry, let's have some lunch, pull into a Walmart parking lot, open up the windows and doors and make ourselves a chicken salad sandwich and just rest for a bit, get back on the road. And those were good times. I mean, yeah, a parking lot or a rest stop. Sometimes we'd stop at rest stops and sleep there. You're allowed to do that for up to 8 hours, I think it is. And maybe eat there, whatever we needed to do. You don't have to go into debt to have family time. And you know what? If you don't have family to go visit, you can't even afford the drive because fuel is so incredibly outrageous and you don't want to waste your money on an electric vehicle that's not going to take you far without needing to be charged and having it take hours to charge it. Stay close to home. We live in a beautiful place. We live in a place that people come from all over just to go to our rainforest or to go to the ocean or to see the twilight garbage. Oh, the joys of living in Forks. But even before that, we had tourists coming through here a lot because it's such a beautiful area. A lot of times people were on their way to go see the rainforest and go visit the different beaches. And we can just make a day of it. You can go to the lake. There's a couple of lakes. There's the river. And then there's the beaches. You don't have to go far. And then even in Squim, there's the Olympic Game Farm, which I have to admit I've never took my kids to. I kept saying, "Oh, we need to take kids there one day," and I'd always forget. But we did take our kids out to with my sister. We spent a day. We went out to Port Townsend, where Fort Worden is. That's where Officer and a Gentleman was shot, and that's not far. It takes maybe about 2 hours to get there. And that can be a fun thing to do for the day. And it doesn't have to cost, I don't think it costs anything other than the drive. So, or you know what? Camp out in your own backyard. Make memories in your own backyard. You know what? It can be fun. I can remember one time we all decided to camp out on the trampoline on a hot summer night because it was too hot to sleep inside. Let's all sleep on the trampoline. It wasn't. For the people on the outside edges, it probably wasn't the most comfortable. You kind of roll. But it was still kind of a fun thing to try. And it was nice sleeping out there up off the ground and being able to look at the stars. In fact, when I was a kid, I used to do that. I live in Wenatchee where we didn't get rain like we do here. 10 inches annual average rainfall compared to 120 inches annual average rainfall is a massive difference. But I spent a lot of summer nights as a girl just sleeping out under the stars in the backyard. I loved it. I loved it. I loved being able to just sleep in the backyard and stare at the stars and fall asleep to that. Good memorable times don't have to break the bank. And not only empty your pocketbook, and your bank accounts, but put you deep into debt. And now you're in the hole. Okay. Let's see. You have other property. I would let the guys loose to make that the place to be with the ground. It basically is, actually. In fact, every summer we do, in fact, we're getting geared up for another one in probably about 6 weeks because today's July 1st. So middle of August, we create our own family event down at that other piece of property. People bring their tents, they bring their camp trailers, whatever they have. We camp out. This is going to be the biggest year yet. I cannot believe. I think all my siblings are going to make it this year for the first time, unless something comes up. So I'm pretty excited. Nieces, nephews. There's going to be a lot of people there. We're actually going to rent, since we don't have running water and all that down there. We're going to rent. Normally I set up like a tent with a bucket kind of thing, but since there's going to be so many people and I don't want to have to be worrying about it, we're going to actually rent a Santa can and then a washing station. And then we bought a 15-foot trampoline. Haven't had a trampoline in years, and we don't have room here anymore for it because of my garden. So we bought one that we're setting on the lower part of the lot, where if it gets windy, we don't have to worry about the wind picking it up and carrying it, because it's kind of surrounded by trees and it's really pretty down there. And so there's that. So the kids will have that. Patrick made all those swings. He's got 3 different swings that he made and hooked up to the trees. We got the tether ball he put in a few years ago. We had to get a new ball, but that's pretty inexpensive. But even with the costs that we're pouring into this, because we don't have to make the trip, I feel like it's worth it. And that's probably the same amount of money we would spend on fuel driving anywhere, between the trampoline and the renting of the Santa can and the wash station. And of course, I'll be, making some homemade hamburgers. I'll have some beef franks. We're going to have like a barbecue and have like a big potluck style meal on Saturday. Friday night, we'll be doing some local pizza. We have a really great take and bake place, but you can have them bake it and then take it. And so we'll be doing that. And then everything else is everybody just free for all. Take care of yourselves. Make your own breakfast and lunch. But that's the whole thing. We're just hanging out, sit around the fire. And we have a lot of activities set up there. We've just kind of been building on it over the years. What else? Oh, Patrick put in a zip line a couple years back. So we got the zip line. We got the horseshoe pits. He put those in. He built those. And what else? So the swings, the trampoline's the new one this year. The tetherball, the horseshoe pits, the zip line. And then we have other toys out there, like, we have the volleyball slash, what do you call it? Why do I always forget? Badminton. And there's something else I'm forgetting. Of course, we got the beanbag game, the corn game. I don't like the name of that game, what people call it now. But usually we have that, but usually somebody else brings one too. So usually there's 2 or 3 sometimes of those out there, which is fine, because then you can have a bunch of different people playing their own little game. And then my sister has a few great outdoor games that she likes to bring. And so there's just a lot of stuff. We got Tonka trucks and the red rubber balls for the kids to kick around. And in the wagon, we got a wagon for them to go bombing down the hill. And then the sides of it's got little sides, and they all go flying off when they get to the bottom of the hill, because there's one place where it's pretty steep. And then Patrick also we've got the tractor out there, and he has like a little flatbed trailer. And so he'll have, at least at one point, load all the kids that want to do it into the back of that trailer, and he gives them a ride all around the property, just drives it all around. So we have plenty of great activities, and we have a great time. It's not fancy. We do try to add more to it every year, and just because we appreciate the family making the long trip to get here, and we want them to keep coming back. It's just hard for us now to go anywhere, because we have a garden and we have chickens, and there's just too much to take care of. Usually we'll do a game night in here one of those nights, because we have the pool table, the ping pong table, the foos table, and then we have the Xbox just for Rock Band. But there's going to be too many people this year, and it's going to be crazy in here, because normally that's what we do. The pizza night, we do it here, and then we got put the pizza back here, and then the ping pong and all this stuff. But I'm like, there's going to be a lot of kids and a lot of people that I think we'll just keep it all down at the property. And plus, I love hanging out down there. I'm here all the time. I need to go where it's nice and peaceful. Oh, and we got the creek. Let's not forget the creek. Kids can go splash around in the creek too if it's warm enough. So anyway, that's us. That's our way. It's funny, just even the investment we've put just to make things nice there is nothing near what people are paying to go on these really expensive trips. And I tell you, it's definitely worth it in that way. And so I think people just need to change their focus. Stop worrying about thinking your kids have to have something better than what you had. Did you go camping as a kid? Did you love it? I always loved it. Then your kids are going to love it too. And like I said, I think the thing they're going to remember the most is the fun that you had laughing together, enjoying each other's company, visiting with family, and seeing the cousins that you only got to see once a year. For me, it was my older brothers. I only got to see them once a year because they lived with my dad and I lived with my mom, and they were down in Oregon. And so I usually only got to see them once a year. And so that was just, I lived for those moments and we had so much fun together. And now as adults, we're all in our 60s, and now we're going to all get to, well, my younger sister, she's still in her later 50s, but we all get to enjoy each other as adults. Oh, and then my youngest brother, Joe, he's 18 years younger than me, but mom adopted him when I was 18, and because she was doing foster care. And so that's how he came into our home, as a foster child, as a 2-month-old baby. And then mom ended up adopting him, and that's how I got my baby brother. And it'll be so nice to have him there, just all of us there, all the siblings. They'll be great. I'm so excited. Anyway, so I should probably get going, and you should probably get going. And I know Tyler already got going. And such is life when you got gardens, and it's just that time of year, and you've got chickens or goats or cattle or kids or grandkids. At least mine's gone now, a little stinker butt, trying to give me attitude. I get enough attitude from some of my followers. Well, not you guys. You guys are always great. Some of these people, I think they give me attitude, aren't actually followers. They just some reason my video happened to pop up as a recommended video, and they saw it was about dairy, so they want to come in and preach to me about how cow milk is bad for you. We weren't meant to drink cow milk. Just stop already. Stop it. Oh, so anyway, for reals, I do that, and I want to start reading the chat, and then I get distracted, and then I keep babbling. So, yeah, I hope you guys, is my lava lamp? Oh, I just really like this lava lamp. It's so cool. I thought it'd be great for the kids too. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, and that you're able to be productive, or at least enjoy whatever weather you've got. I know some of you are burning to death. Just be careful. All right. Take care of yourself. Drink plenty of water. Don't dehydrate. So anyway, love you all. Thanks for coming in as always. Take care, and God bless. Bye.